How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Greetings, fellow Americans. It's Eric Erickson here. Delighted to have you with me. The phone numbers want to be on the show, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to join me, if you text the word Army to 33777, you can, I'm going to send you back a link. And this will go to our activism portal. So let me explain this one to you if you're new to the program. If you text Army to 33777, I'm sending you back the link. You click it, and you put in your name and your email address and your zip code. So then as we move around the country, like, for example, those of you who are in Oklahoma, if you've already previously done this, I sent you the email out with the link to KRMG. So everybody in the Oklahoma area can come to this live event in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you're in Oklahoma, if you're in the Tulsa Broken Arrow area, listening audience for KRMG, you want to come, go to krmg.com or use the KRMG app, and you can sign up for November 7th. But for all of you, it's a way for me to keep in touch with you. And then if there's like an item of you need to call your state legislator or your congressman or senator for something, we have the ability to make that happen and rally activists around the country to fight for freedom. So text Army to 33777. I actually want to start this segment with a call from Matthew, who has been waiting patiently in Dayton, Ohio, because, boy, I get this topic brought up more and more. Matthew, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great, Eric. How are you doing?
I'm great. So let me ask you to start with, you're calling from Dayton. So have your pets gone missing, and did they make a nice meal for someone? I just need to ask.
Oh, man. That topic, it makes me, as a conservative-leaning voter, right, that topic drives me crazy more than any other because
I bet
it's so obviously a lie, right? Like, I've got friends that live in Springfield. Those poor people out there have been through so much. I mean, 35 bomb threats got called into all their major institutions over the course of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Clark State University is not even going back till after the election. It's gross. So can I ask a question?
Yes. Now that I've ambushed you, go ahead.
No, it's all good. I appreciate you taking my call again. So my main question is, so we're talking about Soros buying up all these media stations. I agree. That's gross. But equally gross, in my opinion, is Elon Musk is now doing a $1 million a day raffle for people to sign up for his petition. That, personally, to me, seems like buying votes, right? If George Soros was giving away $1 million a day, what would we all say about that? We would be denying that. We would be very, very against this. So why do we let people like Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, right, quote unquote defender of freedom, allow to do these raffles, and then we're supposed to just get behind it and support it? So I would just really
okay. So for those who don't know, let me just read for you this is from the Wall Street Journal. Elon Musk was greeted in Pennsylvania as a hero to those who want a smaller government, while at the same time flexing the financial muscles that come from being the world's richest man. 3 days into his campaign trail, the billionaire deviated from his usual stump speech, handing out a $1 million check to a random attendee here Saturday afternoon and promising to give out many millions more before Election Day. Musk mugged with a giant check in front of about 1,500 people who had come out to see him in the flesh. Many wanted to know essentially the same thing. How would he cut government spending? So Musk is now incentivizing people to register for the election, saying he's going to give people $1 million a day until the election. The money goes, he said, to a randomly selected person who has signed his petition supporting guns and free speech. The announcement was praised by fans as brilliant in battleground states. Others saw it as a gimmick. Now, here's the thing. If this is tied to someone voting, it is potentially illegal. If it's just tied to someone signing a petition, if y'all all come sign my petition, I'm going to randomly select one person for $1 million. There's nothing really illegal about it. And I have mixed feelings on this. And I want to just lay this dichotomy out for those of you who don't understand it. I've run campaigns for a very long time, and it is a very common phenomenon in inner city neighborhoods. Democratic politicians hand out what they call euphemistically walking around money. You're going to get a $100 bill if you go vote for the Democratic candidate. This has been going on for years. This happens across the country. It particularly happens in urban areas in this country where black voters are given money to go vote. It is walking around money. It is a very common campaign tactic among Democrats in the South in particular. The IRS has repeatedly turned a blind eye to it. I've told you all before, I worked on a campaign where the local black church allowed my candidate to come speak, and when the cameras stopped rolling and the press went away, the church pastor passed the offering plate and expected his members of the congregation to throw cash in for my candidate. This is something that happens, and it shouldn't happen, but it does. And part of me is like, well, what goes around comes around. Elon Musk is doing the same thing. Now, the larger issue here is this. If, as he claims, this is about being tied to signing a petition, and let me just go back to this in the Wall Street Journal article. You sign a petition with his super PAC, you are eligible to win $1 million. There's nothing illegal about it. It's kind of you're incentivizing people to be a part of something, but you're not actually tying it to them voting for Donald Trump. That's how it was originally reported, is you had to commit to vote for Donald Trump. That would actually be illegal. If it's tied to a petition, all you got to do is put your name down. He can probably get away with this. And it is no different from what a lot of Democrats have been doing for a very long time with walking around money in inner cities, except the scale of it. And this gets to my larger point for all sides here. I say all the time, precedent matters. If you're a Democrat denying the concept of walk around money, you're either ignorant or a liar, because you all know what happens. If you're a Democratic strategist, you know what happens. I've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. We all know what happens. Of course, someone with deeper pockets was going to come along and offer $1 million. You've got billionaires on your side, Soros and others, who are dumping a lot of money in. Do I think it's unseemly? Yeah, I kind of do. But I also don't expect unilateral disarmament from the right when the left is doing this sort of stuff as well. Elon's just wielding a bigger stick than anybody else because he's the richest man on planet Earth. I also don't know that it's going to do any good. If it's $1 million each day until the election to a randomly selected person who signed a petition supporting guns and free speech, any progressive can go do this as well. Anybody can go sign this petition. So I don't know that it's going to have the impact he thinks. If anything, and to me, it sounds kind of wasteful. And there's, I think, the point that if the left wants to go after this, Elon Musk says he's going to be a guy who cuts government. If Elon Musk can't recognize wasteful spending in his own life, how's he going to recognize wasteful spending in government? Now, let me turn from that to the larger problem here. I suspect the hysteria is going to amp itself up in all of this because Kamala Harris, at this point, I don't think any major person in politics disputes that she's losing. Yeah, if you're a Democrat, this may make you panic, but Kamala Harris is actually losing right now. If the toss-up states were all forced to go the way they lean right now, Donald Trump would be at 312 electoral college votes. Kamala Harris, 226. You need 270 to win. Right now, definitively, there are 104 toss-up votes in the electoral college, with 219 going to Trump. Where do they stack up right now? In the Real Clear Politics polling average, Kamala Harris is ahead by 0.9 of 1 point. In the battleground states, Donald Trump is ahead by 1 point. Now, keep in mind, historically, in the battleground states, Donald Trump has overperformed his polling. And if Trump is yet again overperforming on his polling, that means this race is over for the presidency. If everybody shows up and votes as they say they're going to vote, there's an edge to Donald Trump's. And I wrote about that this morning in my morning email. And I will give you my map. Where the election held today, I think Michigan would be undecided with 15 votes, probably going to Donald Trump. But it would be 291 to 232 right now. Trump would win Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Kamala Harris would win Nevada. Michigan undecided. Now, that could change. That can change by the day. But it's not just me. For the very first time, Decision Desk HQ, which is highly respected, I know the guys behind it. They are brilliant. They are better than the Associated Press on election night on calling races. Decision Desk HQ gives Donald Trump a 53% chance winning in the Electoral College the very first time he's come into the lead. For the first time in quite a while, Nate Silver has had Donald Trump move into the lead in his Nate Silver forecast. For the first time in quite a while, Donald Trump has moved into a lead with the Real Clear Politics battleground state average. All of the trends have been to Donald Trump, even as Kamala Harris has outspent him. Kamala Harris has actually done more media interviews in the last 2 weeks than Donald Trump. She has outspent Donald Trump, and what has it done? It's dragged her polling down. If the election were held today, Donald Trump would win. And you don't need me to tell you that. You don't need Decision Desk HQ to tell you that. You don't need Nate Silver to tell you that. You don't need Real Clear Politics to tell you that. Look at the anger, rage, and hysteria of the Democrats online. Look at their meltdown over Donald Trump at a McDonald's. Look at them furious Donald Trump got to go to a Steelers game. Look at them now trying to punish people in Hollywood for saying they supported Donald Trump. Zach Levy is an actor in Hollywood. He was in the movie Shazam. He's been in a number of prominent roles over time. Highly regarded actor in Hollywood has come out and said he's voting for Donald Trump. He's probably the biggest A-lister in Hollywood to come out and say he's voting for Donald Trump. And he did so in a live stream on Instagram where he was essentially responding to claims by Whoopi Goldberg and others about how Hollywood's pretty split, 50-50, Republican and Democrat. He's like, no, the heck it is not. But I'm a conservative and I'm voting for Donald Trump. And he pointed out that most of the people who do that are firmly established in their career. At the end of their career, it's very rare for a guy like him to come out and say it. And he was doing it to possibly encourage others. And he's gotten plenty of supportive emails from friends of his in Hollywood saying he's doing it. He will be punished in Hollywood. You may never see him in a movie or TV show again that isn't low budget, cut rate, and made by someone explicitly for a right-wing audience. That the left has turned punitive and into retribution and is angry right now tells you everything you need to know. Donald Trump looked perfectly happy messing with the fries at McDonald's. Kamala Harris on every campaign stage these days just looks angry. That tells me everything I need to know about who's winning and who's not. Donald Trump may not actually be winning, but he looks like it. He acts like it. His supporters act like it. And that tells me psychologically they've got a winner's mentality, and Kamala Harris has a loser's mentality, and that tends to cost you the election. Y'all, the Democrats are really bothered by Donald Trump at this McDonald's. They know they should have done it. I mean, don't. This is just listen to Tim Walz. He was on The View. Listen to this.
She actually worked in a McDonald's. She didn't go and pander and disrespect McDonald's workers by standing there in your red tie and take a picture.
He wasn't disrespecting them. He wasn't pandering to them. By the way, there's no evidence Kamala Harris ever worked at a McDonald's. There's none other than her word and the word of a friend. That's it. No pictures. McDonald's can't find records of it. Nothing. They really are furious that Donald Trump did this. Why? Why would it be that they're furious? It's because they know they missed an opportunity. And they can't let him get credit. But by talking about it, they are highlighting the fact that he did it, not them. They're trying to turn it into something negative because it's been all over the press in Pennsylvania. They're furious about it. He got in their heads over this. They've been working their best to get into Donald Trump's head over his crowd sizes, over his hands, over everything else, and he has successfully gotten into their psyche. Now, Wilbur, if you're listening, I got your email. Recent news reports are saying the Harris campaign is floundering while the Trump campaign is gaining momentum. Things sound great for Trump. While I remember Biden leading Trump in 2020, I also remember the 2022 non-presidential election red wave. Republicans took over the U.S. House, but by a margin much smaller than anticipated. I'm hoping we're not seeing a false red wave in 2024. This is something I pointed out repeatedly. Let me make this crystal clear for you. In 2022, the red wave subsided in all of the media polling in August. And it was the Rasmussens and the Trafalgars and the other Republican pollsters who were continuing to show a massive red wave. And the NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, the ABC Washington Post poll, the CNN poll, the New York Times CNN poll, all of them showed red wave gone. We all, myself included, believe the Republican pollsters, and it was the Republican pollsters who lied to us. They manufactured a continued wave that had already crested and ceased. We're not seeing that this time. You take out those hardcore Republican pollsters, you're seeing a race that the media pollsters from 2022 who saw that red wave go away are actually showing momentum headed towards Donald Trump. They could be lying, but I don't think they are. I think it's happening, and the Harris campaign's actions suggest they know it's happening as well. Now, I want to tell you about Americans for Prosperity. They would love to have you on their team. They are the largest and leading grassroots organization in the country. They happen to be conservative. They happen to stand for common sense conservative solutions, and they'd love to have you on board with them. All you have to do is go to americansforprosperity.org/volunteer today. Sign up with AFP. They will begin to give you lots of information, useful information, knowledgeable information about common sense conservative solutions in this country, from securing the border to school choice. They can also sign you up and teach you how to be a door knocker, so you're knocking on the doors of your neighbors and persuading them about common sense conservative solutions. You can even learn how to go to your state legislature, local government to advocate for the same. They want you to be hands-on and engage as much as you're comfortable doing, or if you just want the information, they're happy with that too. They've got chapters in almost every state. Go to americansforprosperity.org/volunteer today. americansforprosperity.org/volunteer. Sign up with AFP today. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Want to play you some audio. This is from President Donald Trump in Asheville, North Carolina, just a short time ago.
This area was hit about as hard as anybody's ever seen. To all those homes, and your homes have been destroyed. Many of you are rebuilding, and many of you are going to just start all over again. And the communities were ravaged and destroyed. We're praying for you, and we will not forget about you. We will never forget about you. We're going to be working with you for a long time to come to get it back together. When I'm president, I will stand with you until the communities are fully rebuilt. Every single inch of every property will be fully rebuilt, greater and more beautiful than it was before. You're going to have better. What happened to this neighborhood and the communities all across North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Virginia, Tennessee was an act of absolute devastation. Helene's vicious floodwaters tore wives from the arms of their husbands, mudslides buried entire families. Grandparents died alongside their grandchildren. Homes, towns, farms, roads, bridges, schools throughout the region. They now lie in ruin. So beautiful an area, so beautiful it was. But it'll be more beautiful. But you can never forget the death. The death. All of America shares your sorrow and your grief. Over the past few weeks, this region has seen an extraordinary hardship. But in the midst of such terrible tragedy, we have also seen the extraordinary love that binds us together as Americans. And it does indeed. I want to thank our great first responders. They've never let us down. This was a tough one, but they never let us down. And the emergency personnel who leapt into action with such great heroism, including the incredible firefighter and his nephew who lost their lives trying to save their neighbors. A lot of heroes really developed with this. They'll be talked about for a long time to come. They will not be forgotten.
Okay. Here's my point in playing this. He was reading notes, wasn't on teleprompter. Donald Trump went to Asheville, North Carolina. If you know anything about Asheville, North Carolina, what you will know is that it is not a conservative area. In fact, Asheville, North Carolina is a bright blue spot in western North Carolina. It's absolutely devastated by the hurricane. Absolutely devastated by Hurricane Helene. I have seen pictures out of Asheville, North Carolina that were just gut-wrenching. Areas that I've known, areas that I've seen, areas that I have been to, and they're wiped out. It's heartbreaking to have seen this happen. It is heartbreaking. But that area of North Carolina, again, is a deeply progressive area of North Carolina. And Kamala Harris was supposed to have shown up there, and she didn't. Kamala Harris did not show up in that part of North Carolina. She could have. She had the ability to. She absolutely could go. She chose to go to Charlotte instead. Charlotte, by the way, Charlotte is a blue area of North Carolina, but its suburbs are actually pretty conservative, unlike Asheville, where everything around there is pretty progressive. But Kamala Harris could have gone there, and she chose not to go there. She chose not to go. Again, it's like the McDonald's. Kamala Harris could do these things, and she hasn't done these things. Donald Trump is going to places that are more of a natural fit for someone like Kamala Harris. And he's showing up. He's doing interviews in places that she wouldn't show up. You know, Dave Ramsey, the radio show host and finance guru, has endorsed Donald Trump. Kamala Harris could have sat for an interview with him. He invited both sides to sit for an interview with him, and she chose not to. I mean, look, I would have been surprised if Dave Ramsey had decided to support Kamala Harris one way or the other. But he gave her the opportunity to speak to his audience. He'd have challenged her. She could have pushed back. They could have agreed to disagree on stuff, but she didn't want to do it. Donald Trump sat and answered those questions. Ramsey pushed back on him. Her campaigns kept her in a bubble. And I need you to understand that they kept her in a bubble not because this is Joe Biden's campaign team and it's what they wanted to do. It's that they and the Obama team didn't think Kamala Harris was capable or ready to do what she did. Every time a Democrat runs for office, we're told there's some sort of next-level genius. Every time a Democrat runs for office, they are the second coming of Stephen Hawking without a wheelchair. Kamala Harris isn't. Yes, she passed the bar exam in California. you actually do need to be a smart person to pass the bar exam in California. It's the hardest bar exam in the country. But I know plenty of smart people who are idiots. Kamala Harris has not seemed capable of doing the necessary work she needed to do to show people that she was capable and competent of doing a good job. And what she's doing on the campaign trail is surrounding herself with a group of people who are in a bubble of their own making, who do not relate to people outside of that bubble, and if anything, drip with disdain for many of those people. They don't like them. They think they're bad, and they impute to those people the worst possible motives. Their presumption is always that someone did something bad. I was talking to someone the other day who was talking about an experience they had where a kid from a rural part of the South in a college class referred to another girl in the class by female pronouns. But the other girl in the class identifies as they, them. So the professor frog marched that student from the rural South to the front of the room. That girl had never encountered a they, them before in her life, and began to lecture the student in front of everyone about the proper use of pronouns and the lack of respect. There is this thing among Gen Z. They don't want to be disrespectful to people. They don't want to be mean. But outside of TikTok videos, very few of them actually do encounter a they, them, a Z-zer, all these others. The reaction to lecture someone because they didn't mean to be disrespectful. They just didn't know. It's not a habit. It's not something out of the ordinary. These people want to be offended. They want to be constantly offended. They want to scowl. They do not want to be happy. I don't know how many times I've said it in the last week, but it's true. The Democrats are a party captured to their vices, neuroses, and anxieties, their mental health, and their despair. They are a group of people who view everyone else with disdain. They are a group of people who do not like people in the heartland because of their carbon footprint. They don't relate to people who drive a big truck. If anything, they want to get rid of them. You know, so I drive a Yukon Denali. The new model is coming out. I've had mine, to give you a sense of how much I drive. I've had my car for 3 years. When I bought my car, the odometer had less than 10 miles on it. I bought it brand new, off the lot. I now have 90,000 miles in 3 years on my vehicle. In 3 years, I put 90,000 miles on my vehicle. I'm starting to think I want the new model next year. Now that I found out GM will keep CarPlay, because you know GM was going to get rid of CarPlay and Android Play in their vehicles. They are in the EVs, but in the fossil fuel burning vehicles, I'm not getting an EV. I'm getting a fossil fuel burning vehicle. They're going to keep CarPlay. I would move to Toyota. The Toyota Land Cruisers and the Lexus version of them, they're nice vehicles. Nonetheless, so I want to buy a new Denali next year. Upgrade. The government is thinking of essentially passing regulations to get rid of SUVs, because they say they're so high they can put pedestrians' lives in danger. Now, the car manufacturers are like, wait, we've got sensors on the cars. If someone steps in front of the car, it's going to slam on the brakes. And they're like, no, it doesn't work 100% of the time. Therefore, we're going to force you to alter the front of your vehicle to reduce the size of it. And what it's really about is that it's the progressives in government don't think you have any reason to buy or drive a big SUV. If you have multiple children and you need a Suburban or a minivan, well, you know what? You're bad for the environment. And we're going to disincentivize big families by shrinking the cars. They don't understand why you want that big SUV. They don't understand why you want the big truck. Fellas, you driving in a big truck? The men who sit to pee don't think you have any reason to buy your big truck. They don't know what you do on the weekend. They think, well, nobody could do unless it's a work truck. That's the only time it's justified. Well, they want to get rid of those too. They don't relate to you. They don't like you and they don't relate to you. I'm a big believer in empathy. I think empathy is becoming a lost skill. As people have turned to religion as politics, and politics is now your God, people have lost empathy. And I believe that even if I disagree with someone, I should be able to understand them. I should be able to find a way to relate to them. That I vehemently disagree with people who are pro-abortion, but I at least can understand their arguments, even as I disagree with them. I can at least explain to you why someone thinks the way they do. Even as I disagree with them, I want to be able to explain to you honestly how they disagree with me or how they see the world. The left doesn't do that anymore. I'm afraid there are parts of the right starting to do this as well, but the left doesn't. And the left wants to impose their will on the rest of us. They don't think you should drive a big truck. They don't understand why you want the big truck. You should not have the big truck. And they've got a candidate they think will carry their water for them. And their candidate, they're beginning to collapse into disarray because she's not doing what she needs to do to win. Donald Trump went to McDonald's, not Kamala Harris. Donald Trump went to Asheville, North Carolina, not Kamala Harris. Donald Trump went to the Steelers-Jets game, not Kamala Harris. And they're beginning to melt down about it. And my goodness gracious, are they unhappy with it. You know, if you go to Vision Computers, you'll be happy with them. Somebody called in earlier at the beginning of the show. I was having tech trouble. Somebody called Charlie and said, have him call Vision. Well, I didn't buy my computer from Vision. We have a computer at home from Vision, and it has their service. And I got to tell you, if it was that computer, I wouldn't have hesitated to call them because we've done it before. My son, my 15-year-old, when he was 13 and 14 years old with this computer from Vision Computers, could pick up the phone, call Vision, and they would take care of him. I never had to do tech support. That's how great it is. That's why they have thousands of 5-star reviews. Now, if you don't have a computer from Vision, you can pay $179 a year and you can get the same sort of tech support we get with our home computer. Where if you have any questions at all about your computer, if you don't know how to do something, you think you can do something, but it's not working right, your computer's not working, you need email set up, you need your printer set up, you call Vision Computers faster than Google search, they take care of you. They actually answer the phone. They don't put you in call waiting hell, no habla español, whatever. They don't do that. They just answer the phone, you tell them what's going on, and they take care of you. We've done this more times than I can count for my son, who every time, by the way, it's never been the computer's fault. It's always been he was 14 years old and just didn't know how to do something. They took care of him. From hooking up two monitors to one of the monitors he thought wasn't working. They were able to get it fixed, all this stuff. And they did it for my 14-year-old to be able to understand. They can do it for you. They can do it for your business as well. For $179 a year, if you don't have a computer for Vision, if you have a computer for Vision, this comes for free. If you don't have a computer for Vision, it's just $179 a year per computer. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. You're going to save even more money. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Go check them out today. Hello there. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. I am delighted to have you with me on the show. Y'all, I'm now seeing John Harwood, for example, who used to be considered an objective reporter. He never was. Tweeting Trump did not work a shift. He posed for pictures at a closed McDonald's, handing fries to pre-screened pretend customers. Some smart campaigners have actually done jobs like this. But like most everything Trump does, it was fake. It's actually hilarious. He was replying to Meghan McArdle. Meghan McArdle, who writes for the Washington Post, says this is a great idea. I can't believe no presidential campaign before even thought of it. 5 to 10% chance that every presidential campaign going forward includes a now obligatory shift at a fast food chain. Yes. Yes. Here's why they're screaming about it. It's a mental health issue for these guys. Y'all understand that the people on the left now are deeply, deeply disturbed. They worked themselves into an existential frenzy, convinced that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. And this nation will go away if he is reelected. And guess what? He is now on the verge of being reelected, and they all know it. That can't be good for your mental health. It simply cannot be good for your mental health when a man you believe is an existential threat to this country is on the verge of election, you know it, and your own candidate is floundering around, incapable of putting points on the board anymore. You had one good month when she first got into the race. Donald Trump had just gotten over being shot. He looked like his head wasn't in the game. He couldn't focus. He was angry. And then suddenly he starts focusing, and guess what's happened? As he has focused, all the polling momentum has shifted in his direction. All the polling has shifted in his direction. Nationally, the polling has shifted in his direction. In the swing states, the polling has shifted in his direction, and they're angry about it. When Donald Trump wins this election, the rage expressed by these people at Middle America is going to be something you have never seen before. I want you to understand this. You need to understand this. The rage that will be expressed at the middle class when Donald Trump wins this election is going to be so intense you'll have never seen it before, because this is the first time Democrats have convinced themselves beyond all reason that the Republican candidate is a threat to democracy and this nation is over if he wins. And voters are about to vote for him. And to the Democrats, he's an existential threat. And if you vote for him, you're to blame. And if he wins the popular vote, may God have mercy on their souls. They will all need, they'll need Groupon coupons to BetterHelp because they're going to need some serious mental help. They're going to need therapists. The psychology of the Democratic mind, if Donald Trump wins, you are going to see a brutal meltdown, and you will see the elder abuse on Joe Biden like you haven't seen before as they throw him under the bus and run him back and forth over.